Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, good day. My name is Kim Schofield, and I am your host today for Inspiration Tuesdays. Now, today, be prepared to be truly, truly inspired. I am joined today by Brigadier General Anne Macdonald, U.S. Army retired and president of the U.S. Army Women's Foundation. And today we are going to talk about the role of inspiration in breaking down barriers and creating opportunities for women in the military and in industry. And welcome to Inspiration Tuesdays.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Well, anyone meeting you or talking to you or doing research on you, it seems like you have achieved everything that you have set out to achieve. Is there anything that you did not accomplish that you really wanted?
Well, yes, in fact, I didn't achieve everything. So, back in the day, I was stationed at Fort Rucker, and one of the people that I had an opportunity to to take around at Fort Rucker was a Colonel Robert L. Stewart, and he was an Army astronaut, and he was one of the very first astronauts who had a chance to do an untethered walk like 5-6 hours from an aircraft. And so I had a chance we had to pick him up from the airport in Dothan and drive him back to Fort Rucker, which was probably like a 30-minute trip, that I had him one-on-one with the driver, and we were able to ask these questions. And I tell you, that was so motivating, and the stories he told, I mean, in particular, I can even tell them, so great. But I thought I wanted to be an astronaut. And so I applied and I submitted my application through the Army, and the Army said, yes, let's go ahead and send it on to NASA. And so my application went to NASA, and this was in the early, I want to say 88, maybe 87, sometime time frame. And I got the nicest rejection letter from NASA. I'll tell you, if it hadn't been, I looked at this and I said, man, they really make me feel good. And they're saying no. But, that was one thing, probably not meant to be.
Well, then what did you do next in your career?
From that point on, or from that point on, I was still a captain, and I had the opportunity to go to Germany. And man, that was just great to be in Europe at the time. One of the seminal events that happened was the fall of the Berlin Wall. And to be in Germany at the time in 1989 was amazing. Had a chance to go to Berlin. My sister lived in Berlin and with her family, and we went there, and it was evening time. We were at one of the wall is made up of several sections, and so it wasn't all torn down at one time. So and I'm talking the physical tearing down of the wall, the concrete. There were lights that were shining. It was nighttime. On one side were the East German guards, and on our side the West German guards, but they were pretty much mixed. And as the wall was being torn down and the bulldozers were moving, one of the East German guards reached down, picked up a rock, and handed it to me.
Oh, wow.
He had no idea that I was a soldier in the United States Army, that I had been part of the force that, if necessary, would have gone in to fight. But that act, that very kind, generous act of, here, the wall is down, this represents unity.
Wow, that's quite a story.
Yes.
Wow. So Anne, what achievement are you the most proud of?
I would say growing leaders and building teams, and the joy of seeing young people be given an opportunity to, I'll use the words, be all they can be, and to grow, and to see them take smart risks, to see them do other things is just so wonderful. And then to build that team, that is what's special. when everyone comes together for a common cause, moving in a direction together, that's really special and a huge honor to have had that opportunity to do that while in the military.
And you were one of the very first women, or you were the very first woman to command a battalion. I believe it was at Fort Campbell.
That's correct. So there were other women who commanded aviation battalions, but at Fort Campbell, I was the first, and I was truly honored. The 101st Airborne Division Air Assault is one of our premier aviation divisions in the Army. Air assault divisions, so the infantry would take umbrage with that. Yes, I was very honored and privileged to be a battalion commander in that storied division.
Well, I think one of the hallmarks of a great leader is giving people an opportunity to shine. And I was reading an article that you wrote, and I really enjoyed it. That sergeant won't cut it. Can you tell us about that story?
Okay, so yes. So it goes back to really my experience at West Point. And my part of that outcome of being at West Point is that there were moments where I didn't feel I was treated with dignity and respect. There were moments I didn't feel like I was a valued member of the team. And so as I was learning and shaping my own leadership style and who I was, those became real hallmarks for me, really important, that it didn't matter if you were polka dotted or striped or whatever. You're part of this team. And my job as the leader is to make sure that you're trained and you've got the equipment and you're ready to, contribute to this team. So this story, this Sergeant Won't Cut It, is a situation, it's a story when I kind of let my own philosophy get the better of me. So the story is that I was in Germany at the time, and I was given an opportunity to lead this particular mission. And it was a spouse flight day, actually. And I was given a person to assist with this task. And when I looked to see who it was a non-commissioned officer who was not what I would consider the right military occupation specialty to help out. I was expecting an operator, someone who would be able to, this is how things go, someone with experience. And instead, I was given someone with less experience and a occupational specialty that was not what I thought was not equal to what the task needed. And so I was disappointed. I asked, is there any way that I could get somebody else? And the answer was, nope, this is your team, go for it. So that evening I went home and I was, talking to my husband, who was also in the military, and I was explaining to him about that, I was given this guy and he can't lead out of a paper bag and he doesn't have the right skill set. And my husband looked at me and just was, wow, I can't believe I'm hearing this from you. Are you the same person who says everybody should be treated with dignity and respect, and that everybody is a valued member of the team? And it's the leader's job to bring out the best in everyone so that that person can be a valued member of the team? Well, that's not what I expected to hear, but that's what I heard. And, initially it hurt my feelings, but I knew he was right. And so that next day, I went back to the office and I treated that non-commissioned officer differently. And I started off by asking, where do you think you can help with this? And what assets do you have that you would like to try to assist in this project? And I have to say, by treating him the way that he should have been treated, brought out the very best in this non-commissioned officer. And it was a great success, and we became great buddies. I mean, it was such a win-win. But it did take me that experience to go down that path to realize, if dignity and respect is one of your values, Anne, you don't get to turn it off and on. It's all the time, and it's everybody. So that was such a great experience for me. That was such a great learning tool, and it's something that to this day, I reach back to and realize, we're human. It's easy to fall off the path. It's easy to say, treat people with dignity and respect, yet we find ourselves making judgments. We find ourselves, nitpicking at someone, and, it's caution. Think back, what are your values? What's important to you? And so that you do treat, if your values treat people with dignity and respect, you do that, because people are your most important asset.
So I'm curious then, you said, that your experience at West Point is kind of the guiding principle on how you treat people. Were you on the other end of the stick, as it were, after you graduated from West Point at any point in your career? Did you ever have a similar circumstance where you were on the receiving end?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Meaning that, like the sergeant, you were the one that wasn't necessarily wanted on a team or wanted for a particular role. And the person that you worked for treated you with dignity and respect, and you were able to aspire and achieve. Did you have a similar circumstance?
I both ways. I had a circumstance where I was in the military, and I had a leader who didn't treat me with respect, and this goes back to the confidence that I had been instilled either from my parents and West Point, I will say both, where I realized, this guy's not being part of the team. And he was senior to me, and I went in and I confronted him and said, this behavior cannot continue. I did it one-on-one. I didn't do it obviously I didn't do it in a way that, because I was the subordinate, but I did ask if I may speak with him frankly, and explained that this behavior is not good for me personally, but it's more importantly, it's not good for the team. And, to say, hey, do you see it this way too? And, fortunately that turned out to be, okay. But, I was willing and able to advocate for myself to say that this cannot continue. Now, on the other hand, I would not have been successful in the military had it not been for a number of people who treated me with dignity and respect. Loyalty works both ways, up and down the chain of command. And I had phenomenal soldiers who worked side by side with me, the best non-commissioned officers. I tell you, a company command, you really cut your teeth on leadership. And I had the best non-commissioned officers who worked with me and were willing to, when I did something wrong, pull me aside and say, hey, that's not the right way to do it. And, having that respect both ways, and knowing that they were behind me, and knowing that that comment was motivated on making us better, not tearing me down, making us better as a team, as a company. I mean, that's really important, and lifelong lessons from that experience. And then, of course, seniors who were willing to put me in jobs that hadn't previously been afforded to women. And there's a huge risk there. But very important that it was very important for my success that there were senior leaders who believed in me. And I hopefully didn't let them down.